Today is Friday, December the 22nd, 2023. Welcome to episode 75 of Rural Reliance with Canny Couple. Julia.
And I'm Aaron.
We're a small homestead family in rural Southwest Virginia that work every day on being more self-reliant, less dependent on outside sources, merging frugality and homesteading.
Yeah, and this week we wanted to, talk about...
2024?
Yeah, we are very close to it. And we wanted to talk about some of our homestead goals for 2024. What we're wanting to get done on the homestead, what we're wanting to maybe put in place or expand on.
Yep. So we have a lot. We actually tend to overdo our goals.
We do.
We really do. And this year, we're pulling back a bit. I feel like we're not nearly as ambitious as normal. We can really knock off a lot of these things.
Yes.
They're going to take work.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount of work, but they're going to take work. And some of them are going to take multiple attempts, as we'll get through. You'll hear in this list. But I feel like we realized last year we went too deep, too heavy with everything that was going on in our world. And if you're new to our podcast or our YouTube channel, we went through a house remodel in 2023.
Which,
drug on forever.
Took up a lot of our
time
and plans. Yeah.
It did. We couldn't work. Aaron had to run to Lowe's. Aaron had to be at Lowe's every morning
at
5 a.m. And then he had to go to Lowe's at night to pick up another order. It was constant. And we've been in a season of maintaining goal for next year. And I think that's the goal, is to get out of this rut of maintenance on the homestead to make progress. So that is our absolute 100% goal this year, is progress, to start moving forward, not spinning our wheels.
Yeah. And getting some of these things that we've talked about for a while started or completed.
Or in process of some things you might not have heard of. So the very first thing is chickens. So our chicken deal fell through. So tell them about the chickens.
Yeah, we waited on those for like
we want a specific brand.
Yeah, we was wanting American breasts.
And we wanted them local.
Right, because there was somebody
here,
like 15-minute drive from us that had them. Oh yeah, we've got them. I'll put you down on the list for this month. This month come around, hadn't heard from them. Oh well, no, we've got them next month. On and on.
Every month we were being patient.
We were, just because it was local. We were like,
we're trying to be understanding. We know what it's like when life happens to somebody. And now we've kind of run out of patience. Not anything bad about this person or anything like that. I don't
think they're actually even selling them now.
They might not be.
I think, honestly, I saw them post up today. He's getting rid of all their chickens now. So
it just didn't work out. Yeah. So now we've got to find another breed that will work. Another dual-purpose breed that we would like.
I still think we're on the breasts.
We think so?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay. Yeah. Well, now we got to figure out where to get them.
Right.
Now we got to get them.
There's a few different places, and I've joined a few Facebook groups. There's some supposedly around Knoxville or so we might be able to drive to and get some. So
we want to try to avoid the mail. We know a lot of people have issues where we are. They're less likely to get to us alive. Yeah. We would really just like to go pick them up personally. So that's a goal. We get the chicks and get those started. We also hope to get our meat bird areas in place. So we want a couple of meat bird tractors. We want to get those built and figured out where we're going to put them. But we want to kind of utilize them in between our tree rows. So something lightweight that's going to help against predators. That's a big thing for us. We can't free range.
No. We've got way too many.
Coyotes, you got herds.
Raccoons, possums. They just go on. Bears, it's nothing to see something on the cameras at night.
It's too dangerous. And for us, we would feel very irresponsible if we just put the birds out there to let them die during the day. Because we know, working outside, when we were building our chicken coop, we heard it sounded like a whole pack of coyotes cackling behind us while we were working on our chicken coop. And
they were like, "Oh, we're ready. Go ahead and get them."
Get them. We're hungry. Where's our 4-course dinner? So we definitely need several different meat bird areas. We want to make sure they have enough room, and we also want to be utilizing them in really good areas. We also have an area between our garden fence and our outside fence, which we're going to do a video to show you all in the
Well,
spring.
maybe not even the spring. Maybe before then, so you can think about it to get ready for the spring.
It's been the most effective thing we've ever done. But we're going to get that area ready for meat birds as well, because we can get quite a few in there. It's a nice little run area, but we need to have a place to house them. So we might not get to meat birds this year. We would like to, but if we don't, okay. We will next year.
Right, exactly.
So we'll get our laying flock started this year, meat birds next year. The lily pad. Still got such good plans for it. And we've been figuring out designing, and we think we could throw this together pretty quickly.
We do, and if it's something we don't have the ducks this year, we want to at least be ready for them the next spring.
Absolutely. And with all these projects, we're using things we have around the house for the most part.
Yep.
We are really going to be focusing on trying to use up a lot of the stuff we already have. Like with the ducks, we're kind of going to be doing like a hoop coop for them. It makes the most amount of sense. We have a lot of rebarb fencing that would be perfect for that. We will need to get some hardwire cloth, but that is pretty standard. And we just have so much that we can work through for that and get that built. But the biggest thing for them is going to be the water source. We have to have a water source for them, that because electricity is not over in that area, it's going to be hard to get electricity over that area.
Right.
But it gets lots of sunlight.
Right, yeah. So it might be something, working up something solar-wise over there. We do have a couple of extra 100-watt solar panels that I could throw up over there for them.
Yeah. And I would like to kind of get whatever pond we do sort of like in an in-ground setting, to where I don't need a huge deep pond, but I need something where we can get it in-ground enough, because I have found burying these things does help.
Yeah.
We use sand. Don't think the sand's really a great idea with the ducks. I think going straight to the ground is a better option. So we're definitely looking and thinking outside the box there. Our garden. This is a huge one for us this year. We did so good this year.
Yeah.
Even with blight.
Even with blight, yes.
Even with the blight. And the deer destroying our peppers.
Right. So part of that plan is peppers and tomatoes in buckets inside the double fence garden, so deer can't get to them. And if we have blight issues, easily remediable with the buckets.
We should have less blight issues, because the goal is to have enough small holes in the buckets that they don't have as much moisture. So we had an unseasonably wet wet year this year. I mean, for us, I can't remember a year we've ever had so much rain for the garden.
Not through the summer months, no.
It was just so wet, and they just couldn't handle it. So we're going to put them up against the fencing. So it's going to save us a lot of time. Number one, I don't have to tie these things to a whole bunch of fencing. It's all going to be up against fencing. They're going to be up higher, so I don't have to be bent over digging them. They're going to be, because they're a 5-gallon bucket. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but it's also going to help weed control an area that gets away from us every freaking year.
Yes.
Every year. We cannot maintain.
Right there at those edges.
It's just so thick. It's so thick on this area.
There's some Johnson grass and stuff that, we're digging it up, but
it doesn't do anything.
It still comes back.
So we don't think we'll have the whole area with buckets, but the goal is to get the 2/3 of our garden area buckets up against the fence row, just for peppers and for tomatoes. So that way we can have a great, harvest of those, and we can put them away.
Yep. We
don't eat tomatoes like plain eating, but we do can. So that's what we were really focusing on.
Right, because we use those for soups and pastas and anything like that. I mean, we use so much.
I use so much tomatoes. We use so many tomato products. Now, we didn't add this to the list, but there is one area that this is like a 2-year project for me. That's a little garden area. Mm-hmm. We cannot control the weeds. There's just no controlling this area.
Try to black plastic everything.
Well, and the problem is it just grows around it. So I've decided this whole area, I'm covered in a black plastic for 2 years. Just the whole area.
Maybe we need to do some of that, like 45% vinegar as well in that section.
That's another plan. So we're going to really cover this. I'm going to try to kill everything. It grows trees. It grows sumac. It grows everything. And we're really trying to kill this stuff off because it's a great little area.
It is.
But I feel like we can't use it. And it might be something where we do have it in ground that we actually probably just need to go to raised beds for. If we can't get this maintained and killed off, we might actually, we're not getting any use out of this little garden bed in this area. It might be better just to go ahead and turn it into a raised bed area.
Yeah.
At least for the next few years, because we'll have the black plastic on top of it.
Right.
It doesn't really hurt anything to try. I've got to get this area under control. We've got a wild berry vine in there that
Raspberry
has
vines.
overtaken it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has completely overtaken this thing. And it's everywhere. It's going between the fences, outside the fences. It's killing us. So that's one area we're definitely going to get under control. This doesn't seem like a very big project.
That one there is a lot harder than some of these other ones here. Like, just because
we can barely maintain it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean,
everything in there's sticky. Everything in there is sharp.
Yeah.
Everything in there is sticky. Like, we get, I don't know, in our area, in our woods, we get these sticky vines. And they don't look sticky. They look really pretty. They look these little light green things. And they get so sticky and you're stuck. The vines.
Stickers or sticky vines. I mean, around here, I don't know what they're called other places.
The raspberry vines that are wild are sharper than anything you can home grow and order. They feel like you're getting cut by glass. And the berries on them are not big enough to do anything with it. It's not worth even bothering with.
Right, it's not something we're trying to dig up and put in a new location.
It's frustrating. The other thing we really want to focus on is the amount of food we are producing. So we did really good in a lot of areas, and we're hoping to keep expanding that because we've been growing in those areas. We did not do so good in a few others, which one of them is very surprising. That's lettuce.
Yeah, and that's because, I mean, we tried it in the vertical planters where they were there, which...
We're moving those. We're going to be moving those. They're going to be closer to the house, which will be more beneficial for me and easier for me. Aaron, he's the one who eats most of the lettuce. So normally by the time I'm like, go get you some lettuce, he's like, I don't want to go get some lettuce. Right. I don't want to walk up the hill and cut the lettuce. But we really didn't have that successful of a lettuce crop this year. Normally we're growing like lettuce out of our ears.
Year round, right.
And we didn't have that this year. So broccoli is another area we really want to make sure we're expanding on. We do eat a lot of broccoli. Carrots. Want to try to make sure I'm growing enough carrots to put some away. I feel like I got better this year. We did have some really good carrots, but I didn't get as many as I want. I need to quadruple's not even the right word. I need 30 times the amount of carrots I'm actually getting.
Right. And I guess that area over there where we put the carrots in is something also that we need to clean up and work on as well. It's
a good area, and we can put carrots outside of the garden. The deer don't tend to bother them. They're not like the beets and other things. The carrots, they just kind of walk around. The cucumbers, we've learned, no, they have to go in the garden.
They like to eat on the cucumbers.
So these are just things we have to be thinking about and really kind of adjusting and playing with as we go through. The cucumbers did amazing where they were. They really did. They did really well.
The deer just kept nibbling at the roots.
Every single time.
Yeah.
And then another goal I have is I want to start a process for a cover crop fertilization sort of while I'm growing. So I have an idea because most of our fenced-in garden is vertical.
Yep.
Most of it's vertical. And I need to start nourishing the soil. So what I think I want to do is I want to start planting turnips in a row beside of my vertical row. we'll eat some.
Yeah.
We do like turnips. But for the most part, I want to let them go to rot in the garden. I want to let them die. I want to let them give back to the soil and nourish the soil while we're growing. I need to make sure it's not going to, they'll work with the plants that we're putting in there. I can't imagine that it wouldn't. And I also want to make sure that I'm not taking away the nutrients for the plants that they need. I need to figure out the spacing and all that. But I'm really thinking this might be a good way to nourish my garden as I'm growing and start that nourishment system early instead of everybody planting their cover crop in fall, and then we try to cover in black plastic, and the cover crop hasn't had enough time to really do what it needs to do. So I want to start that way early because we can grow some massive turnips. Like we're talking, and rutabagas. We can grow some really big ones. Now the rutabagas can't stay. Aaron will demand the rutabagas come out of the garden.
Yes, they'll be eaten.
But the turnips, they're cheap. They're so cheap. The purple top turnips are so cheap. You can get thousands and thousands of seeds. Throw a few in there. Let them do their thing. The greens can be used as a compost, and then let the actual plant itself compost out. So that's one of our plants. We're also putting in a new in-ground strawberry bed, the first of many.
Yes. This one's going to be close to the house.
And it is going to be covered.
Yeah.
Because we already know that the deer will come to it. Like,
exactly.
That's just what it is.
But, we're trying to get more strawberry just because the baby loves strawberries so much. And I like strawberries too.
Yes.
And it's not going to hurt to have, some other type of fruit crop,
So this is one of many upcoming strawberry patches. This is one near the house that we're putting in place. We've kind of already laid out the plans for that. Have some ideas for a couple of others. I'm really wanting to turn like our backyard into like, I want to make it as least amount of work on us as we get older. And really think, how can I turn this area into something where we can grow food?
Yeah.
But with strawberries where we are, we have to be very careful because the deer will scalp them. So we have some black screen, and we're going to top it off with fencing. And that's the plan, is we're going to put a screen on top and some fencing, and hopefully that will help keep the deer from getting them and the little critters. Our potatoes. So we had a really good crop of potatoes. We had a lot of success with potatoes where we put them. We didn't know if they would work up here or not this year.
We are right beside the woods with it, and a good distance from our other gardens. So
it's you're not going up there every day to check on these things.
Exactly. And last year, hey, we had some grass up there. We needed something to do with it. Joy was like, throw it on the potatoes. She'd seen something.
Rain country.
Oh, okay, rain country. And putting grass mulch around your potatoes. And, oh my gosh, you
could see the one side that didn't have as much. You saw the one side that did. Night day difference.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that on the whole potato patch.
And if we can, the garden. If the garden's awful big.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen, but it would be nice.
It would be. But we're going to start developing a system, a place to put the mulch up there, so when we're ready, we can put it on the plants, because we do need them to get like up before we start throwing the grass mulch on there, and we'll be able to collect that mulch. Like even now, I have grass to cut and gather. I could take up there once it dries out some. So that's really important. We really want to get through that, and we saw there were no weeds. You didn't like the plants just.
They were a lot better, and we had a lot more production on the side that had the grass mulch compared to the side that didn't.
It just helped so much, and it really wasn't that much. But the goal is to get more on it to help do better, and it's just going to, compost into the ground and everything as well. It just really worked well for us, so we're going to keep going that route. We're hoping to double or triple our potato harvest, because we know we need as many potatoes as we can get, to put in the freezer, to put in the freeze dryer, however we really want to go with that. How to control areas on our homestead.
So
we got a few.
We got a few
Berry vines that have just...
yeah, that we need to get under control just because of last year where we didn't have the time to maintain because of the house remodel.
Gojies.
Gojies is a good one.
The gojies are like spread out, like they're and getting them out of this one particular area because Aaron would have to climb in to get them, and then there were some we couldn't even get to. So we actually lost some of the crop because we couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
And we had a really good crop of goji. So we know what we want to do. It's time consuming because we're gonna have to thread and a lot of this and get it where we want it to go, and making sure we're maintaining these areas really, really well. We have a blackberry vine that's got to be pruned back.
Yeah.
It's so thick and so heavy. There's so many canes. We've got to do something.
Yeah,
It's just
and
getting
that one
bigger.
there is we would have had that contained the year before, and
Yeah.
just a year of not being able to maintain shows you how much work you've got to do afterwards.
Well, it's not even maintained. All we were doing was maintaining our day to day. We weren't even getting to
right, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Normally what we would do is we would hit these things once a month at least to get them under control, to kind of shape the vines. Like this one blackberry vine that we have, it's a tree. It's basically become a huge tree. We didn't think about this it just has taken over on its own. It really needed that like wood and fence system to hold it because we were not expecting it to do what it did and grow the way it did. So we really need to get under control. The kiwis, we've got to get those under control.
Yep.
Because they are growing into our apple tree.
Yeah, we need to stop them from going up any further.
We really need to cut those branches at the apple tree back and make sure that those kiwis are going around and try to really get that under control and contained where they are. And we just have several areas like that we really need to work on, especially these ones where we kind of cultivate. We're in them. We pick the berries. We pick from the plants. We really want to make sure we're maintaining those in a good way. The other thing we need to do and it's not on this list, but are gomies. We have to build a system to protect those from the birds.
Yes, and that's something we have to have in place.
Before May.
Yeah, like in April sometime.
Like March.
Right. I mean, in all honesty.
They turn so fast.
As soon as they turn, the birds demolish them.
We got one.
Yeah, last year.
We got one.
Yeah.
Like one the entire time. They had so many on them. And once they start to turn, like the birds won't touch anything else.
No.
Nothing else. But they will go after those gomies with a vengeance.
Yep.
We've tried the individual netting. That was such a pain.
It's just so hard to take in and off. We need a system like where you can like a hoop and you can walk into this area, for example.
Yeah. So I have an idea. My thought is to use some buckets with some rocks to hold the buckets. Do a couple 2x4s with a support beam between them and put the netting around them that way. And then use rocks or cinder blocks to kind of keep that netting into place because we don't want anything super permanent. Things that we can move around as needed because we only need this around it for like
for
4
May,
to 6 weeks.
May to June, yeah.
Like it's hardly any. So it's not something that has to stay permanent, and we also want to make sure we're able to grow as these plants grow. So they're going to keep getting bigger, and they grow really well over here.
And it's we got to figure it out because it's one we do want to propagate a lot because it's a nitrogen fixer.
Yeah.
So we're going to have more of these on the homestead. So we need to figure out the best method to protect.
A couple.
Them.
We'll propagate enough that the birds can have some, but we want to make sure they're not getting them all, that we can get some as well. And that's where we are. We have three of these plants. They produce very well. They have for the past 3 years now?
3 years, yeah.
3 years. And like I said, the netting, we did that one year. We got quite a few, but God, it was so hard. It was so hard. We didn't have any problems with losing a bird in the netting, but it was more like cutting your fingers trying to get the gomies out. We tried that with the peach tree too, and that didn't. It was just, it gets hard with netting when your plants are tall and you're not on level ground, and it just becomes more difficult. Poison ivy. We've got areas we've got to get under control.
Yes, and that's something I think we're going to be trying. I've read a few people in the thing saying like the 45% vinegar.
We won't be diluting it too terribly much. We're going to kill the stuff.
Right.
I don't care what else I kill.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we are. And I don't care so much out in the woods, but we've got quite a bit around the house. Mm-hmm. That's kind of gotten uncontrollable for us.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can't get near it.
He can't. And as it continues to spread, it's going to spread into our yard, and it's going to spread near our garage. And that's hurts us because we do a lot in this area, and it makes this area useless. So we've just decided this year, we've tried black plastic. It just grows around it. That's our problem. We try a lot of these ideas people have, and they're wonderful. But my God, when there's so much of it, or the plants are so vigorous, it just takes over, and you can't.
Yeah. If you've got any other ideas, let us know to get rid of some poison ivy besides getting a goat.
A goat doesn't work for us. Not right now.
Right.
Small animal and critter proof. This is a big one for us. We have a bunny problem.
Yeah,
we've not had as bad of a bunny problem this year as we did last year.
But we know it was there.
We know it was there.
It gets in our garden, and we need to. So we put the deer netting at the bottom to try to save on some fencing in a couple of areas, and then our cattle panels that we use, the bunnies could just fit through the holes. Yes. So we've got to reinforce some of those areas to keep them out and stop having bunnies in the garden.
Yep. We're gonna get rid of the bunnies. Now I will not lie, our cat took care of a few. That's the only thing that she will take.
Only thing she touches.
The only thing that grandma's. But we've got some bunnies we got to get rid of. Yep. We know that they're becoming a little destructive in our garden, and we didn't have as big of a problem this year as we did last year.
The year before we did.
Last year was very bad. We had a family.
Yeah.
We had a family. We had the mommy bunny and all the baby bunnies. Mm-hmm. So we really got a critter proof. And again, a lot of these things seem so small. They're like, why haven't you already done this? Our garden is large. The outside area is large. It takes time to get out there and do it. Plus, we need to make sure that we are completely clearing the area so the prep work to even get to the actual project itself for us.
Right.
Because we have heavy grasses, heavy weeds, and we want to make sure that we are yard stapling, like this fencing that we put down, to the ground so the bunny can't just crawl underneath it.
Yeah, and we'll be doing chicken wire
on the bottom.
Right, and this will be the chicken wire that we used to do the vertical in the garden with.
So we're reusing.
Repurposing.
Yes. And we're trying to use as much as we can. Wood storage is a big thing for us this year. Mm-hmm. We've got to build. So we've put in some places on our front porch, which works really well for us for instant wood storage. But we're going to need more.
Right. We need to repurpose an old dog lot into a woodshed.
So we're going to turn this into a woodshed. We're going to figure out how to make sure we can keep it dry. Make sure the wood's not touching the ground so we don't have any rot. We also need to come up with processes and systems for getting the wood cut, getting it split, and wood chips. We need wood chips. We need them for the garden. We need them for the chickens. We really need them for anything that we have coming through. So these are just a few small things that we have. And this isn't a huge project, but it's where our gojies are, so we have to deal with the gojies. We're not getting rid of, but we got to weave them out and try to make sure that whatever we do to protect the wood does not hurt the gojies.
Right.
Because the gojies will be on the fence where the wood hits. So it's really important. Our outdoor washing area and outdoor shower area, we would really like to get this up this year. Now, this is high hopes. If we could just get the platform built.
For the washing tub, because we do have the Lehman's washing tub.
Yes. And if we had to, we really could just set it up
Yeah.
and do it outside. And that might be something we do just to get started. But we would really like to get the platform built for this and then start working on getting the roof and watering systems up, because we know that this is something that we need. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
And it's just something that would really help expand our homestead.
Yep.
Our processes and procedures. This year, we came up with a few really good ones that work well for us, but we really want to expand on those. So when we talk about this, we're talking about, like, how do we make sure we keep the garden weeded? How do we make sure we keep things under control? We've had a lot of really good ones in the past that we've let, like, fall through the cracks. Like weed eating around a lot of our plants. We didn't get to that very often this year.
Right.
We started at the beginning and then it got away from us. We need to put that process back into place. We need to put the same processes in place for making sure we're keeping up with vines. I can't do this once a week. I need to make sure I'm doing it every other day, because our vines just sort of took over and took control, and then I felt like all I was doing was controlling the vines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would go out one day, there would be no vine in the way. I'd go out the next evening and there's a vine that's 10 feet across the garden. So really looking at that, making sure that we put good systems in place that really work well for our family and our needs. And we're, again, out of this maintenance rut and into, okay, this is done. This is a chore. I have to get done. I have to get this task done. Because right now, it just feels like everything that we're doing, it feels like we have 3 jobs. It really does. 3 full-time, like 50-hour-a-week jobs. And the homestead kind of got pushed back for us a bit. But we tried to make it forefront. You could tell by, how our food production did this year. We actually are pretty decent.
Right.
But we didn't do anywhere near what we wanted to do this year. Propagation. This is a big one for me.
Yeah, getting, like, those gomies, get some of those propagated. Maybe some of these gojis that we're moving's gonna have to be propagated. Hey, if we're gonna have to cut it down, let's try to propagate it and grow that into its own plant.
Saving the seeds, possibly.
Yeah.
Selling some of those. Maybe we've talked about that.
We have talked about selling goji seeds.
We have a wild elderberry, a couple wild elderberries. Eric didn't think they were elderberries.
I didn't, just because I'd never seen any in this area around here, and it might have been from some of their plants, that birds just.
Our one plant.
We had a couple there, that first year, but one of those, it could have been, yeah.
But these are established, and they are big. They're not little. So the goal is, it's in a really bad location for us.
That there's a good chance that the state
will spray or cut them down.
Right. So we need to save those.
We need to do something. So goal is to try to propagate off of those, because they are set to our area. Set
to our zone, set to
grow here.
Already prove that they can grow here. There's no need to
produce.
Buy. Right.
So let's see if we can get those to work and expand our elderberry, because that would be the way to go for us. A lot of people have a lot of success with elderberry. We have not. Oh my God, every elderberry we've tried.
I know.
But one have died. I finally told Aaron, I said, we're not buying any more elderberry. Yeah. We've wasted hundreds of dollars on elderberries.
Right.
I'd probably say close to 1,000.
No, not that much.
It's been a lot.
Because we bought a lot of them cheaper. But we did buy, some of the good $20 to $30 ones.
From Raintree.
From Raintree, hoping that, some of the European ones would be good,
They say they work in our zone. They just didn't work.
Just couldn't get them to go in the soil we had anyway.
The only one that we have, and it's doing okay. It's just not very big. It's just like a stick. But the ones that have popped up down, beside on us, they look really good. You can see They're elderberry
from the road.
From far away. Because I told her, I said, I'm really certain those are elderberry.
Yeah.
He's like, they're not.
They're
They're
not.
not. They're weed. They're weed, Julia. They're weed. I'm like, I really think you. And we went back and forth with this for weeks.
We did. And I walked down there one day and I was like, okay, you were right.
Yep. You heard it. It's recorded. And on the internet. Water systems is another thing we need to put into place next year. We have lots of ideas of where we're going to put some. So we're putting some off of our chicken coop. We are also going to make sure our wood storage system has an area for a watershed.
Mm-hmm.
Our duck coop will have areas for watershed to collect water, so we can use that because we can use collected water for what? 8 months out of the year? Maybe even 9?
Maybe 9.
Depending on the temperature.
Sometimes maybe even 10, depending on what year.
If it's not cold. Like,
Yeah.
we've had years where it's not really been cold. We've gotten a lot of rain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been wet, but not very cold. And those are really great years to collect a lot of water and use that water instead of having to use our own. So we have an emergency source for our animals, for us if we need it.
For the garden. Yes.
That's a big goal. Also, getting one up in the garden. That would be really, really nice because we get a lot of water in the spring. We get a lot of rain in the spring, but a lot of times summer's hot.
Well, except last year was complete
Except for
opposite. Last year was it was a little dry in the spring and then extremely wet in the
We didn't
summer.
water like one time. I think total.
Right, and the year before we were having to run our sprinkler system once a week. No, every other day.
Every couple days. We try to hold.
We do.
We do. We hold. We are like, I don't want to water. I don't want to water. And it's like, it's been a week. We really need to water. And a lot of gardeners don't really live this way.
Yeah.
You don't see this, but I really, really try. Really, really want to try to make sure these are as hands-off as possible and as close to nature as possible and doing their thing on their own. And we've still gotten harvest.
Yeah.
Maybe not have been as good of a harvest, but we've still gotten a harvest. And my goal is to eventually be doing a lot of heirlooms. We're saving a lot of these seeds. These seeds are, used to this type of weather. They're used to not having as much water. They're going to grow. They're going to thrive in this area because our summer does get dry. Mm-hmm. We do get a dry heat. But we also learn how to use sunshades and how to use them the right way.
Exactly.
For our garden. And that is not something you see in our area.
Mm-mm.
You see it in very hot areas, but you don't see it here, Southwest Virginia, Tennessee. These gardeners don't know what a sunshade is, but it's off their back porch.
Right.
You tell them you're using a sunshade in the garden, they're going to look at you like you've lost your mind. Like, well, it helped. We saw a massive difference when we used that sunshade versus when we didn't.
Yep.
And we use them for our animals because they're outside. It will be
It's very helpful.
20 to 30 degree difference underneath one of those.
Yeah, you wouldn't think how big a difference it matters, but it's like a whole different environment. A mini climate,
I will get underneath them to come out of the sun when I'm burning up and it's hot. And I need to just be in some shade because the sun is so heat, it just becomes a dry heat and it's humid. So water systems in place so that way we don't have to use our water hose. We don't use our pump. We're using nature. Mushroom area in the woods. This is a hope. This is a hope.
This one might not happen, but we want to get to the point where we've at least started on it so that, because when we're doing shiitakes and stuff, when we plug them, it's going to be or cut them, it could be a year
before
later.
We can plug.
Right.
Yeah, you're supposed to cut them in the fall to
Right.
plug them in the spring.
Yes.
If you cut them earlier. So we even need to identify what trees we might take because you really need to cut them in the fall when their leaves drop. You don't want to cut them any later than that.
So we need to, set up our
systems
system
for that.
to get ready for that, right?
Because we want to have it in, because we are worried about critters here. Like we know because this is out in the woods. This is going to be far from our house. There's going to be squirrels. There's going to be everything. So it has to be in a fully fenced in, hard cloth proofed area. There's just no way around it.
Right.
Not only that, we have to be careful of other people coming into our woods to source other mushrooms like morels, thinking they could take our shiitakes. So we have to think about all these things. But not only that, we got to find the trees. We got to identify what trees we want to take, because we don't want things that are too big. We don't want trees that are too small. And we need to identify the ones that are going to give us the best.
Yeah, totally agree.
So there's a lot to this, but getting us, we have identified the area. We have identified our area.
Right, and we sort of know what we're going to do. It's just doing it.
It's a lot of work.
Right, it's going to be a hard job in that area, but hey, it's, having this type of thing to grow, other types of mushrooms for us, maybe even to sell, is going to be amazing.
Right, and this is this is a very long process. This is not like a overnight process, because of the type of mushroom it is. It's a several year long process, and even figuring out how we're going to get the power up there so we don't have to carry logs down and then carry them back up after we drill holes to plug them and wax them. That's the other part of this, because it's a haul, and those logs will get heavy.
Yeah, we gotta figure out a process around that.
There's a lot to it. There's so much to it, but we will get there. We will get there, and once we're there, it's going to be amazing, and it's going to help our homestead so much. So these are our homestead goals. We'd love to know yours. I think for me, I'm probably most excited about amping up and really getting our food production down, getting a lot of these areas under control and keeping them under control. I think that's what I'm most excited about, because I hate the constant chaos. I hate not being able to get to stuff. I won't go. Like, if I can't get to it easily, I will not walk over there. And getting to where we planted our broccoli, I almost fell several times because the grass is so high and you can't tell, like, the heel dips down. And I could have broken my neck or something in that area. So I'm really excited about keeping those areas under control and getting our garden production up. What about you?
I will say that for me, it's making sure we've got the homestead a priority this year in general with all of our goals. Just because it's such an important part of our lifestyle that we have to make sure that our dedication is there for it this year.
And it's not to say we weren't dedicated this year. It just felt like everything else was just as important.
Everything. There was a lot of stuff that was superseding it this year.
A lot of stuff that had to take priority over.
Yeah.
And we're really hoping that doesn't happen this year. But I can say, like, when we did our pivot, we shifted our goals. We've met those goals this year. So, not to say we won't have to pivot this year.
Hey, you never know. We might have more goals.
We might have more. We might be able to knock all of these. We might be able to knock a huge amount of these out.
Yeah.
And that's the goal here. There's, how many of them? 15, 16 of them that we've said. One a month. Yeah. It's it. One a month. Less or a little bit more than one a month. I mean, a lot of these we can knock out. Now, like poison ivy, that's going to be like a couple month-long projects, because we're going to hit this thing 1 week, then we're going to hit it again another week, and we're going to hit it again another week, and then another week. We're going to hit this thing 8 weeks in a row with this really high-grade, pH level vinegar. Whatever we have to do to get rid of it. Covering up that small area in our garden, that's an afternoon project.
Right.
But it's going to get us so much further than where we are right now.
Yep.
That's the goal. We're going to be moving forward on our homestead. And we would love to know what your thoughts are to move forward. Are you getting more animals? Are you getting bigger animals? Are you deciding to downsize your animals?
Yeah, what all are you planning for your homestead in 2024?
And the other thing to think about with your homestead goals are also, how are you going to finance these things? We've talked about a lot of things on our homestead. We're using a lot of materials that we're sourcing. We're also looking at what do we have on hand now to where we don't have to buy a lot of stuff that we can focus on this year, because we're expecting prices to stay high. They could go down because 2024 is a different type of year. It only comes around once every 4 years.
Right.
So prices could go down to help combat a lot of that. But, we're not expecting it. And we want to save as much money as possible and try to expand our homestead with what we have.
And talking about that, tune in probably 2 weeks from now. We'll do our financial goals for 2024 and talking about all of that as well. Next week is the December Frugal Homestead Tactics.
And man, have I found some deals this month.
Yep. So we'll talk all about that next week. So if you've got any comments, questions, anything you want to hear in a future episode, send it to thecannycouple@yahoo.com or leave it below in any type of comment wherever you're watching this at.
And
I was going to say, go over and check out our link tree, which has all of our other content. And, make sure to check us out on TikTok. We hope to be doing a lot more short content coming up soon as well.
Yep. And as always, thank you for joining us on Rural Reliance with the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.